Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from downtown Baton Rouge, this is Hunt Palmer.
He's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from our studio downtown in the capital city. It's Thursday. It means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Working towards the weekend. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Plenty to do over the next couple of hours. LSU in Florida, just a couple of days away. We'll dive into it. I want to give you some of the thoughts that I have on some matchups on the field on Saturday. We'll talk to Chris Blair at 2:15 about it as well. Sam Spiegleman going to join us. He's with the Rivals on 3 Network. Going to talk some LSU recruiting at 2 o'clock. I want to touch a little bit on the quarterback situation that LSU is continuously in with that trio of players, but we'll go outside of that as well, as there are some expected announcements here in the next couple of weeks. The Saints are going to get a look at a backup quarterback. We'll talk about that. And I want to discuss the backup on the other side of LSU. That's DJ Lagway and the Florida Gators. So let's talk about all of that. Let's crank things up the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
It's time to start digging into this matchup between LSU and Florida on Saturday night. Two programs kind of feel like they're in different places, but I feel like we're going to learn a lot about both teams and both programs on Saturday night. And I think one of the matchups that is very much going to determine the outcome in this game is one that Florida absolutely dominated in last year's game in Gainesville. And it was not a spot that I expected Florida to dominate last year in Gainesville. If they do it on Saturday, I won't be stunned. It's Florida's defensive line against LSU's offensive line. This is going to sound like Groundhog Day a little bit with the Clemson matchup, but it is what it is. I don't change the players on the field. They are what they are. We talk about them. And Florida's got a couple of guys who potentially could be first-round picks on that defensive front, and we know that Clemson did as well, and we talked about it all of August, and it's now time to kind of talk about it again with this Florida team, and the injury report crystallized that a little bit further yesterday. Caleb Banks was not listed on Florida's injury report yesterday. Caleb Banks injured his foot in camp and has not been available for the first 2 games for Florida. He will be on Saturday. Well, who's Caleb Banks? I'll tell you who Caleb Banks is. He plays defensive tackle for Florida. He is 6'6". He is 330 pounds, and he is projected by many to be a first-round pick in this coming draft. LSU saw Caleb Banks last year in this game, and he was an absolute menace. He had a strip sack of Garrett Nussmeier. He had 3 pressures on the night. Emory Jones picked up a fumble at one point, and he knocked him down and got a fumble produced out of that play. He is a problem. And you look at where he's positioned on that Gator defense, and it's right between the center and the guard, and LSU's starting center is at least compromised on Saturday. Braylon Moore might play. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not Braylon Moore, but I'm pretty confident Braylon Moore is, if he plays on Saturday, going to be a little bit gimpy. I don't think you're going to leave the game on the first play, get checked out in the locker room, come back out and give it a whirl, and then get into a walking boot for the second half, and then just come back and be ready to rock the next day. Brian Kelly has been cautious in his press conference words about him. He has used questionable. He has used probable. He was on the injury report last night. Feels like there's confidence around LSU that he might be able to play. But I've told you this many times. I don't think this is an indictment of LSU. This is just the way that I feel personally. I don't take a lot of injury information as gospel as it is leaked to the media. I just wait and see. I'm just telling you based on what I think that Braylon Moore is, at least, if he doesn't play, going to be compromised. If he doesn't play, then you've got DJ Chester and Paul Mabenga in there on the interior. Those are the 2 guys that played against this Florida team last year and got their butts kicked. If you look at the Pro Football Focus grade, DJ Chester graded 49.5. Paul Mabenga graded 46.1 in that game in the Swamp. Now, those guys are 10 months older now. They're conceivably 10 months better. And I'm not suggesting that because they didn't play well in the Swamp last year, they couldn't play well in this game on Saturday. But Florida in this game last year had 11 tackles for loss and 6 sacks. They just wrecked everything LSU was trying to do. And Caleb Banks was a huge part of that, and Tyreek Sapp was an even bigger part of that. Now, Tyreek Sapp is Warren's nephew. He's 6'3". He's 275 pounds. Doesn't quite have the length the NFL scouts really, really like, but his production has been very good. He plays with a ton of motor. Last year he had 13 tackles for loss and 7 sacks. He got back there against LSU on multiple occasions, notched 4 tackles for loss, including a sack that day. He's on the edge, and he's a problem. As we know, this LSU offense cannot hum unless the offensive line holds its own. And I thought against Clemson, they held their own. Those that looked at the All-22 tape, those that grade for Pro Football Focus, those who watch the highlights, that everyone that I've read or watched that kind of observed the Clemson game after the fact said, yeah, LSU's offensive line got pushed around, but they found some holes in the running game. They did enough to keep Nussmeier upright, only 1 sack, and that was good enough. And I thought the game plan that LSU went into was a good one. And they may have to tap back into it in this one because these 2 guys for Florida are a problem. And it may be a bigger problem for LSU if Braylon Moore is not available altogether. So the good news is, this is my opinion, but I think it's based in some reason. Last year, it's very difficult for me to suggest that LSU, Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly, Garrett Nussmeier, were going to go into that game in the swamp suggesting they may not be able to protect. Like, that just wasn't a reasonable thing to go into a game expecting for that offensive line last year. They had plenty of issues in pass protection. Absolutely. Sorry. They had plenty of issues in running the ball. They had almost no issues in pass protection. Got it right that time. Like, they protected the passer brilliantly all year, and they couldn't block Florida. So at that point, like, it's kind of tough once you realize late second quarter, mid third quarter, like, we can't block these guys in pass protection. It's kind of hard to pivot at that point, right? You've got a plan coming into the things you want to do and the guys you want to attack on the outside, the ways you want to get the ball to Aaron Anderson, to Kyron Lacey at that point. To like, you understand what you want to do and get Mason Taylor involved. And then all of a sudden, you kind of got to pivot on a dime and go, these guys are living in our backfield. I think it's easier to prepare that could be a case and have something a little bit more practiced and readied for the game on Saturday night. So to me, this is a massive, massive deal. This is very similar, in my opinion, to the opener against Clemson, and I don't think this is hyperbole, with one small exception, and I'll explain. If Florida doesn't win with its defensive line, I think Florida's in big trouble. Big trouble. Because I don't know where else they really get after LSU. Across the field. The one small caveat I would add to that, DJ Lagway has really thrown the deep ball well early in his career. Last year he was really good at it. He's been terrible through 2 weeks. If they had some big plays with Lagway down the field, Eugene Wilson, those guys, sure, you can stay in it. And if there are turnovers, anybody can stay in any game no matter what the stat sheet says if one team turns the ball over. But if you just play it fairly standard and look at reasonable expectations for the guys that Florida's going to put on the field, for the guys that LSU is going to put on the field, Florida's best chance to win this game is to whip LSU at the point of attack, stop the run and shut it down completely, and get after Garrett Nussmeier just like they did last year when they sacked him 6 times. And 2 of the guys that you're most concerned about were chief among the issues last year. Now, Jack Pyburn was in that mix as well, stopping the run. He now plays for you, and he was on that front. So it's a little bit different, but those 2 guys are the biggest talents on that defensive front, and they're there. So if that's Florida's best path, but that said a different way, is if LSU's offensive line is prepared and plays a good game, I don't think Florida can beat LSU in Tiger Stadium. If Florida doesn't register a sack and LSU runs for 115 yards, LSU's going to be just fine. If LSU runs for 46 and Florida has 9 tackles for loss and Garrett Nussmeier gets sacked 4 times and hurried a couple more times that results in a turnover, there you go. There's your path. This is a talented Florida defense. They've got dudes on every level. You look at their returning starters preseason, you see both their safeties are back. Their top corner, Devin Moore, is back. They've got Sharif Denson at star, Grayson Howard at linebacker. Like, they've got a lot of guys back off of a pretty good defense from last year with a coordinator returning. And they played good on defense last week. They gave up 14 points. But their offense was bad, and their special teams cost them a safety, and they lost 16-14 in a 2-point game. This defense can put up a fight against LSU for sure. Tech put up a fight last week against LSU. But if they just put up a fight, I think LSU's fine. Florida's path here, to me, is the defensive front. You got to have Braylon Moore, DJ Chester. You got to have Josh Thompson, Paul Mabinga. You got to have your tackles, Tyree Adams, and Weston Davis play a really good game in this game. This will be Groundhog Day most weeks. But not every team is going to boast 2 potential first-rounders on the front 4. Clemson did. LSU's seen it. They blocked their LSU front all August long. And now they're going to see it again with Florida. I don't think, we're certainly not going to see it with Southeastern next week. I don't see that with Ole Miss right now. Bama's best defensive lineman is hurt. Like, this is front-loaded in terms of, like, elite NFL talent you're going to see. You're going to have to deal with this at South Carolina with Dylan Stewart, and we'll talk about it then. But this week, this is the first time I've really gotten into the matchups in this game. The lead of the show on this Thursday, Florida's defensive line, LSU's offensive line. That's the one to look at for sure. I've got a story up right now at LouisianaSports.net. The 3 matchups to watch, that's first on the list. We'll also, over the course of this day, talk about DJ Lagway versus Garrett Nussmeier, who aren't on the field at the same time, but it's a big matchup between those 2 quarterbacks. And Florida's got an All-American center, a really physical and tough running back. LSU's front 7 is going to have to hold their own there. I've written about it and elaborated on it for free at LouisianaSports.net if you want to go check that out. But that's the first matchup here, Florida's defensive front and LSU's offensive line. Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms. Premium Angus beefs, tailgate season. It's game watching season. Still grilling season down here where it's warm in the south. So if you're looking for the best Angus beef you can find in the area, really in the country, Sagrera Farms Premium Angus beef can be your option. All right, let's take a time out. We'll come back, chat with our guy, Luke Johnson with the Saints. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety can be a big issue in the bathroom as folks age. It can be a hazardous situation. You can't take those risks away, but you can mitigate against them. If you have someone in your life who's aging, wants to stay at home, and you think, might be a good idea to look into some safety precautions. David and his team do this kind of stuff all the time. Non-slip floors, walk-in tubs, showers with benches, handrails where slippery areas could be hazardous. Get those installed in the best interest of that loved one of yours who is aging. If you're thinking about, well, where do I even start? Well, you go to onebathandclosets.com, reach out to David. Y'all can have a consultation. That's free. You just have a discussion about what you're going to do. David does this all the time. He can fill you in on the process, how it works. If you're worried about financing, they've got it. 0% up to 18 months. If you qualify, same as cash. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online. OneBathAndClosets.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane. It truly is the fuel for our future.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Lots to cover on this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. In hour number 2, we're going to talk to Sam Spiegleman about a little bit of LSU recruiting. We'll also chat with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, at 2:15. At the Brian Kelly Show tonight, 7 o'clock from TJ Ribs. So you can get on by there and hear from the coach. We'll hear from Chris in 1 hour from right now. And Saints are going to take on Mac Jones in the San Francisco 49ers coming up on Sunday from the Dome. I'll talk about kind of my thoughts on that in an hour and 15 minutes at 2:30. Maybe an opportunity for the Saints with no starting quarterback in Brock Purdy, no tight end in George Kittle. Could be an interesting matchup between the Saints and the 49ers. Let's talk some black and gold with Luke Johnson, who covers the team for NOLA.com, and the Advocate joins us on Thursdays on the Gems Firearms Hotline. Luke, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. All right, let's talk about the Saints first before the injuries on the other side of things. What was the best thing that you saw Sunday in the Dome?
I really think the defense played up to my expectations. Minus, to be honest, it was just that big explosive run play was the biggest one. I think that, we kind of saw some of the problems with the old unit. But I thought the pass rush looked good. I thought the coverage, for the most part, looked good. Cardinals managed 160 passing yards in the game. They had 5 sacks, although two of those sacks were just Kyler Murray scrambling and running out of bounds a yard behind the line of scrimmage. But the pressure was good. That's what you need to see out of this team. They got a young quarterback. They're probably not going to score a ton of points offensively. We saw that play out this week. And if their defense can play up to that level or a little bit better, I think we could expect this team to be competitive at the very least, which I think is more than a lot of people thought going into the season.
How big a deal is the Julian Blackmon injury and him being gone for the year?
I think it's a big deal. I really, really liked him. I liked his fit. I said on our show, before the start of the season, my bold prediction was that he was going to make the Pro Bowl. And obviously that's not going to pan out.
Nope.
But I do think that they're actually positioned pretty well to make up for that loss. I really like what Jonas Sanker did in the preseason. He's just, he's a young, intelligent, physical football player with a lot of athleticism. The one downside to that is I think he's pretty similar to Justin Reed as a player, where Blackmon and Reed really complemented each other well with their skill sets. I think there's a little bit of sameness to Reed and Blackman, where maybe you're going to lose some of that that kind of playmaking, deep safety ability that you had in Julian Blackman. But I still think Sanker's a good player. I think they're going to be okay. Like, I think that was one of the few positions on the roster where if they lost a guy, you could say, okay, like they're still going to be fine there. Now, if they lose another guy, then I think you're starting to look at problems. But that's that's like with any team. You start going to the third option at a spot, it's going to start looking a little rough. So, hopefully Reed and Sanker can stay healthy. I think both of those guys will be pretty good together.
With the understanding that Spencer Rattler can't catch the ball for Juwan Johnson, are we speaking differently about Spencer Rattler today if Juwan Johnson comes down with that last ball?
I mean, I definitely think so. Although I think Rattler probably opened some people's eyes. The box score wasn't super impressive, right? He completed less than 60% of his passes, only averaged about 7 yards at completion, something around there, less than 5 yards per attempt, 70 passer rating. Like, that's not stuff that we're going to be like, oh, Spencer Rattler is the quarterback of the future. But, like, he's definitely somebody that you can win with. And we saw that play out this week. Look, that would have been a crazy catch if Juwan would have pulled it in. Yeah. Like, he was going against his momentum, jumping up into the air, twisting his body. He's got two guys hitting him, and he's making contact with the ground. Like, that would have been, like, an incredible catch if he made it. But if he does, you're talking about like a game-tying, potentially game-winning touchdown pass in the closing seconds. If they would have gone for two, we don't know that. I think he showed that he can go out there and he can make plays. He can take what the defense gives him. They played a lot of shell coverage, so he wasn't trying to force the ball deep. He's just throwing a lot of the underneath stuff that Arizona was giving him, and he played pretty well. 18 to 24 on passes where he's getting rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less. That's pretty good. So we'll see what he does for an encore. But, like, I think a lot of people who were going into this year saying, like, well, the Saints are obviously going to have the number one pick because, look, they got Spencer Rattler, quarterback. Like, I think he's a lot better than just, like, some scrub backup who they're just throwing out there in the Wolves.
All right, let's talk Saints in San Francisco. Does this discussion change pretty significantly when you find out Brock Purdy and George Kittle are not playing?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, right? Like, there's a big difference between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. Even if, like, look, the San Francisco 49ers were supposedly, like, they really were in on Mac Jones the year they ended up drafting Trey Lance. And I think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best offensive minds in all of football. He's probably going to play better than maybe he did with the Patriots or the Jaguars. But there's still a pretty big gap, I think, between him and Purdy. There's a reason he's on his third team now. So, like, that's a huge boost to the Saints. And so, George Kittle, like, the last time he played in the Dome, he just, like, absolutely killed the Saints.
Yep.
He had that huge catch and run at the end of the game where he's shoving Marcus Williams into the ground. Like, he's an awesome player. And 4 catches for 25 yards on touchdown, like, midway through the second quarter before he hurt his hamstring. So, for a Saints team that, I think is a pretty solid defensive team, to not have to face the best playmaker and the best quarterback on that team, big deal. Like, I think it legitimately gives the Saints a chance this weekend at pulling off an upset win.
On the flip side, you got to deal with Bosa and that pass rush with an offensive line that's a little young on the edges. How do we feel about it?
We'll see. I think Tali Fuaga has a pretty good chance to play on Sunday. I just don't know, like, what he's going to look like because, he played last Sunday for 3 quarters, and he did not look like the player we were accustomed to. That injury was clearly bothering him. So if he goes out there and he's playing anything like that, I mean, it could be a problem. But I weirdly feel kind of good about Kelvin Banks. Maybe that's just, like, kind of idiotic of me to say for a guy who just played his first NFL game and he's potentially going to be lining up against an all-pro pass rusher. But I think as a pass blocker, he's pretty good right away. I feel okay about that. It's Fuaga is the one that I'm really worried about. But even then, San Francisco had one of the worst pressure rates in football in week 1. I think they only got 1 sack, maybe 8 pressures the entire game against Seattle. I think they might be more reputation than anything at this point. But I might look like a complete idiot on Sunday if they have 6 sacks or 7 sacks or something like that. But I think they've obviously got good players, but I think they didn't really show it in week 1, and I actually feel pretty good about the Saints, at least at left tackle.
Do you think Kendre Miller's role is going to grow on this team, if for anything else, just so that Alvin Kamara doesn't have to do what he did last year?
I mean, I think so. I hope so. I think he's been nothing but a pleasant surprise at every stage of this lead up to the season, and even last week. I mean, he had a really small role because they barely ran the ball. I thought he looked good last week. This is a player we all hyped up over and over and over and over again just to see him injure his hamstring every third time he touched the ball. So, I think at some point, they're going to be playing games where they're not throwing the ball 66% of the time. And they're going to have to lean on their ground attack, and I really do think that they're going to try to lessen the load on AK to get him back to kind of what he was early in his career. He was more of a big play threat because he wasn't touching the ball 25 times a game. So I at some point this is going to happen, and he's going to look really good. But it's kind of incumbent on them. I was a little surprised at how often they threw the ball last week. But I would expect that to come back to earth a little bit. Maybe that'll lead to a little bit more for Kendre.
Here's a weird question. How important?
I love it. Let's go.
How important is this game on Sunday for the Saints because of what comes next?
Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty important, right? I know San Francisco just beat Seattle last week, but Seattle's I think going to be a pretty good team this week, and to play them on the road and then to follow that right up with Buffalo on the road, I don't think you want to be 0-4 going into week 5. I have a hard time seeing them winning either of those week 3 or week 4 matchups. It kind of felt like they had to kind of pick off one of the first 2 games to just not just be in this black hole through the first quarter of the season. So I really do think this one's important, especially, I mean, it's setting up favorably for him with the quarterback injury and the George Kittle injury. The vibes are kind of off in San Francisco again this year. I think if they could get one here, it would feel a lot better going into that week 3 matchup. But I still think that this is a team that we're going to be judging by how they finish the season.
Yeah.
It's just so much newness on the team right now. This is really Spencer Rattler's second legitimate start. Right, he got all those starts last year, but it was with a bunch of backups. This is really his team right now. Get some good vibes early, and then try to close it off strong. I think that's really the important thing. But if they could get this one, it'd be a nice feather in their cap, because I think those week 3 and 4 games are going to be really, really tough.
How good a chance do you give them?
I would honestly put it at 50-50 right now, which feels crazy. But I really do like the way their defense played. We'll see if they get Chase Young back this week. I think that'd be a huge boost. And San Francisco playing a backup quarterback. Last time they faced Mac Jones, he had one of the worst games I've ever seen by a pro quarterback against the Saints.
Yeah.
They shut him out, and they shut him out in New England. They picked him off twice, took one back to the house. He's going to be better. He's in a better situation, but I still just don't think that he's this great quarterback. And I know the Saints have their own issues, but I still feel 50-50 on this one.
We will see. We'll be following along with you by Luke Johnson on Twitter. Find all of his stuff at NOLA.com and The Advocate. He's with us every single Thursday. Luke, we appreciate it.
Yep, my pleasure, buddy.
He is Luke Johnson. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Let's talk about DJ Lagway when we get back. I uncovered some things today. Not earth-shattering, but interesting. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Captives. Every time I talk to Jonathan, he's excited about the things that they've got going on over there at the Highland Insurance Group as far as captives go. It's something that they're very, very comfortable with handling, and it's something that if you're a sizable organization that pays a significant amount in insurance premiums and your loss management, your risk history is good, well, you may be a fit for a captive. If your broker currently has not suggested a captive or isn't capable of handling a captive, because not everybody can, the Highland Insurance Group can do it. All you got to do is reach out. Go to HighlandIG.com, fill out your contact information, reach out to him here in Baton Rouge, talk to Jonathan Carb over there and say, hey, I heard Hunt talking about captives. I'm not real sure if we're a fit, but I'm interested in changing my bottom line as far as insurance payment goes. Let's talk about it. And Jonathan and his team would be happy to talk about it with you. I tell you every single day that they're an expert when it comes to insurance. If you're looking to call a new broker and say, hey, can you save me 20% of my insurance? Like, that's probably not the phone call to make, not in this market. But if you're looking for creative solutions and you're looking to make sure that your coverage is properly written, the Highland Insurance Group is a phone call you need to make. Check them out online at highlandig.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Talk some recruiting with Sam Spiegleman coming up in 25 minutes. Chugging right along here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Beck, I'm going to test your critical thinking skills. Are you ready?
Yes.
Wow. All right, let's do it. Here are DJ Lagway's starts from last year. He started a home game against Samford. He started a home game against Kentucky. He started a neutral site game against Georgia. He started a home game against LSU. He started a home game against Ole Miss. And then he started a road game against 2-9 Florida State. What do you notice about his starts from last year?
He mostly started in home games.
That is correct. I would suggest to you that he did not start a game in a hostile environment all year. Now, I will suggest also that he did play a little bit at Mississippi State, not exactly a hostile environment. They went 2-10 last year. He did start the game at Georgia, which is a big game, obviously. The crowd split 50-50. And he did play and started the second half at Tennessee. So it's not like I'm suggesting here in this segment that DJ Lagway is going to walk out on the field at Tiger Stadium and urinate on himself. I don't think that's the case. I will suggest that when you combine the environment in Tiger Stadium, the defense that LSU is playing, and the spot that that program is in, that I don't think anybody's going to ignore over there in Gainesville. I know that they showed a lot of fight and a lot of heart in November last year, and they're to be commended for that. But nobody in blue and orange in Gainesville is naive to the fact that this program has been in neutral for 4 years under Billy Napier. They just lost an embarrassing game on their home field, and their head coach is in some turmoil. Like, nobody's immune to that. So the team can use that as motivation, but still there is another side to that. DJ Lagway is going to see something on Saturday night he has not seen before. He may rise right up to it, because guess what? This dude is big. He's 250 pounds. He is physically gifted, has a rocket for an arm, can throw the ball down the field. He stared down LSU last year and played really good football on one leg. He won 5 of his 6 starts at the end of last year. Like, he's got some skins on the wall as a young quarterback. But this will be a new adventure for him. And I would suggest that if LSU can get a lead in this game, and LSU can crank up the environment in that stadium, and that defense plays the way that it's played for 2 weeks, it's probably going to be pretty tough on DJ Lagway and company for all of those reasons put together. It's not just the environment. It's not just the defense. It's not just the fact that DJ Lagway didn't play worth a flip last week. It's not just the fact that Billy Napier is on a scalding Gainesville seat. It's all of those things put together. And I looked at, this was back in July. I watched the highlight tape. Now keep in mind it's a highlight tape. I'm not going back and watching the all 22 of 16 quarterbacks. I watched highlights of the quarterbacks to just familiarize myself with everybody's game before July and SEC Media Days. And what I found was that DJ Lagway's highlight reel is amazing. Like, he has a huge arm. Last year, he threw the deep ball so well. They hit LSU for 2 awesome deep balls. He didn't even run against LSU, and he really doesn't run much at all. He really is just a guy who wants to play from the pocket. And what you now see to transition out of that is, yeah, his highlight tape is awesome, but the people that watch him and break down film of him and put that stuff in podcast form or on YouTube where you can digest it, they suggest he does it too much. There's not enough of the intermediate game. He misses guys that you should see because he's trying to force the ball to a spot that he's already locked into. And that is the next step for him. And I think LSU can make that really difficult with the pass rush that they've got and with the coverage that they've displayed thus far. What shocked me in looking at Florida through 2 games, and this is not a direct reflection of DJ Lagway, but it's part of the equation of breaking down this Florida offense. It shocked me that Long Island had 11 tackles for loss against Florida. Long Island had 11 tackles for loss. South Florida had 7 tackles. They have given up 18 tackles for loss in 2 games, and they haven't seen anything like what LSU is about to put out there on a defensive front 7. So if LSU just gets the average here and gets 9 tackles for loss, and Florida's consistently in 2nd and 12, 3rd and 12, and that stadium gets cranked up to what it should be on a warm, early season, undefeated Saturday night in Death Valley, that's a recipe for disaster to me for Florida. Now, how do they defend against that? Well, you block with your veteran offensive line, and you get Jaden Baugh involved. And this is a circular way of me suggesting that, like, I just don't think, knowing what I know statistically, which is far less than Billy Napier knows in that building, but what I know statistically and what I know based on what happened last year, they've got to try, in my opinion, to shield DJ Lagway from having to shoulder this whole thing for the first time in that kind of environment. Like, that's my opinion. And the way that they do that is to get Jaden Ball involved. So that becomes the flip side. In the first segment today, I told you about LSU's offensive line dealing with Florida's defensive line. I twist it back today and I go, if Florida can't sustain any sort of running game, well, that's a big problem, because then you're going to put it on a fairly young player who's never done this before. Talent's not an issue here. There are plenty of times where I will break down an LSU game and I'll go, they don't have the guys to do this. They don't have the horses to do this. This guy is not equipped to do that. There are plenty of times where I will make that argument. That's not the case here with Florida and DJ Lagway. It's just a tall mountain to climb for a guy that's never climbed that mountain before. All of this late season surge that Florida went on was in the comfort of the swamp. This ain't the swamp. Whole different animal. So I'm curious what the environment is like on Saturday. My feeling is sincerely that it's going to be electric in there. And then you got to kind of look to what happens early in the game. If Lagway settles in, okay, you got a really talented player who's got a running game and he's making some plays earlier, probably pretty comfortable. Something goes sideways early. Maybe you lose a little bit of confidence. Maybe you start thinking more about the fact that the coach is on the hot seat. Maybe you start thinking more about the fact that you're about to be 1-2. Maybe you start thinking more about the fact that that defense, and you start seeing ghosts and you're not looking the way that you want to look. It starts to snowball. How many times have you seen it in there? A lot. Happens all the time. Almost every year. So I think that the narrative is that DJ Lagway is a potential star. I think that's a fair narrative. There's also a narrative right now that is that he's not playing great. I mean, last week, his statistical line is not terrible. 22 of 33 for 222 yards. But it's a lot of checkdowns, a lot of misfires on the deep ball, and he did throw an interception. I'm interested. This is going to be a big, big moment for DJ Lagway, for Billy Napier, and the entire Florida football program in that stadium. In the same way, it's a big moment for LSU to try to get off to a 1-0 start, and if you win this one, then you assure yourself into the last week of September as an unbeaten team, and this is essentially uncharted territory for this LSU program since 2019. Big, big key in this game. Quarterback who's never dealt with this environment, what that environment does, and the fact that now, unlike the last few years, unlike since 2019, maybe even before that, you've now got a defense that can feed off that crowd and create something that was very common for LSU back in the early part of this golden era with elite defense. I think you may see it again on Saturday night. I think LSU's defense is going to be prepared. I think that crowd's going to be nuts, and I think it could be a tough day for DJ Lagway inside Death Valley. Got a lot more to talk about with this LSU and Florida matchup over the next day and a half. I want to talk about Blake Baker in our next segment, and not X's and O's. Some fun stuff off the field that we learned in player interviews back on Tuesday night. But I'm going to tell you about Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I know a lot of you swing by the local spot and grab your beef or whatever it is that you're buying for the week to cook at the house, and you got questions about your beef. One, why does it cost so much more than it did? Two, are antibiotics being used inappropriately? Are there steroids being used? How many DNA are in this pound of beef that I'm buying? All these questions that are reasonable questions to suggest are answered by Sagrera Farms. Sean and his family started this business just a handful of years ago. They haven't touched their prices in 3 years, and they don't have plans on it. They're not climbing like everybody else in the market. Even though herd inventories are at their lowest since the 50s, prices can be up as much as 20%. Sean has his cattle on property. He's comfortable with their inventory, and they're moving forward with the prices they've always had. And you know, no improper antibiotics, never using steroids. And when you buy that side, that quarter, that whole cow, you're buying one cow's DNA. And it's prime every single time. You're looking for ground beef. You're looking for steaks like ribeyes, fillets, flanks, all of it. Prime. We know that the barrier for that is 9 on the IMF score. You're looking at upwards of 13, 15, 17, 19 in some cases on Sean's farm today. If you're tired of asking these questions when you go buy your beef, do it differently. Call Sean and go out to Sagrera Farms. I give you Sean's number every single week. It's as simple as calling his cell phone and saying, hey, Sean, I want to come out to the farm. I want to check out what you got. I want to get my hands on some of this prime Angus beef. And he's happy to help you. Go take a tour. Go look at it. 225-719-1723 is his number. 225-719-1723. That's Sagrera Farms that bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. When we come back, some sound from Whit Weeks on Blake Baker and why these guys love to play for him next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item, we prominently feature it in social media, on our website, but we do it because it's the right thing to do for the community.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
right, wrapping up hour number 1 here. This is not an X's and O's segment. Just some fun here. I want y'all to kind of get a sense from hearing it from Whit Weeks, and I talked to Jordan Gilbert about it as well. I've heard Jack Pyburn speak about this. The defensive players just have such glowing things to say about Blake Baker and playing for him, and so many of them say the same thing. I wrote about this over at LouisianaSports.net this morning, that it has to be true. I don't think they're getting together and rehearsing what they're going to say. I think they all genuinely feel this way. This is Whit Weeks talking about getting energy from playing from Blake Baker.
I think our trust in Coach Baker, our buy-in to what he's teaching us and what he's preaching to us, he brings energy every single day. So it's hard not to bring the energy when the boss man's bringing it every single day. So I really just think the buy-in from all of us. We got way more than 11 dudes right now on defense playing good football. So that's promising to see because we got so much depth all over the board.
You see it because Blake Baker wears his cleats to practice, and he's got that LSU baseball cap. I love the interlocking baseball cap that he wears on the sidelines. He's just flying around all the time. I see him at practice when we go in the facility once a week. He's bouncing around in there, and he's just got an infectious energy about him, and the players absolutely feed off of that. What was asked about his favorite thing about Coach Baker?
Probably just the person he is. I mean, like, who he is off the field is he's just a super fun guy to be around, always having good conversations. He's a joy to be around.
It's not something you hear players say about all their coaches, about all their position coaches. I think LSU's got a great staff right now. And I don't mean at all to take away from the position coaches that I'm not going to mention right this second. But the two guys that I hear spoken about most affectionately as far as the position coaches go are Blake Baker first, for sure, and then really Brad Davis with the offensive line is spoken about in those terms as well from those guys. They're very different coaches. Brad Davis he is a hard ass at practice every time we see him. He is in those guys' face. He is dropping F-bombs. Like he coaches them very hard and then loves them up, I think, off the field is the sense that I get from talking to those players. Blake Baker is just juiced all the time and is got a smile on his face 80% of the time that I see him. And that's part of the reason I think that he connects so well with the players. And Whit was asked about that connection that he has with the players.
Probably just because he's a cool dude, really. Like off the field, like, you don't even have to be talking ball with him. Like, he'll just be talking life, like just having fun. Like, he's just one of the boys.
Baker has a trivia night that they participate in every Friday before games. I wrote this at LouisianaSports.net. It's got some quotes in it. But just to lighten the mood, to loosen some guys up. And Whit said, like, some guys will panic when they get up there and on a road game, they'll ask him, what state are you in? And the guys will freeze and they won't know. And I don't even know what state. And they laugh at everybody. Whit said he got stumped once last year on what bone are babies not born with. Whit posed that question to us on Tuesday night as a media. I've got a 6-month-old, and I said something at the top of the head. Apparently, kneecaps is the answer. I looked it up on AI, which is obviously the answer for everything. Apparently, they may be born with some cartilage there, but it's not fully formed. There's some question whether or not that's the real answer, but Whit said he didn't get that. Kevin Peoples is apparently the ace at the trivia game, but it's something that Blake Baker has brought in, and the guys love it. We talked to Jordan Gilbert about the connection that he's had, and he had the same things to say about Blake Baker, and that's just y'all as the fan base see him and the way his defense performs. And that's really all that matters to you. And for good reason. You don't know Blake Baker, you're not going to meet Blake Baker. But I think this is a little bit of a look behind the curtain at some of the secret sauce that he's got. Because obviously he is a great football mind. Whit told the story that I wrote about LouisianaSports.net about the final call against Clemson. And for those that can recall the play, Klubnik rolled to his right and Perkins was a heat-seeking missile and forced an early throw, and LSU got off the field on 4th down and won the game. And Blake Baker had that call in there for that specific time. And he said, okay, we're going to blitz up the middle, and Klubnik's going to bail right. He bails right every time, and I need Perkins flying off the end. And it happened exactly like that. And that execution and that plan, it gives the players so much confidence in what the coach is trying to do. And then when you couple that with the fact that they have such a great relationship with him from trivia, from off the field, from talking ball, from not talking ball, to his energy and his smile and his personality, like the whole thing works together. And they've got the right guy calling this defense. I don't think he's going to be here very long if we're just being honest about it, especially if LSU plays this type of defense the next 10 games. That's just how coordinator stuff goes. But they got a great guy in there right now, and as long as he is here, I think you're going to hear more players talk about him like that. I think you're going to see more calls like that with Harold Perkins, and I think you're going to see LSU play championship-level defense. That's not an X's and O conversation, really. It's just a conversation about how much these players light up when they're talking about them. I think that's interesting, kind of a peek behind the curtain there. That's hour number 1 here on this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll come back, talk recruiting with Sam Spiegleman of Rivals.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Every single model, all of them, on that lot and online. IAHA top safety pick. All of them. Some of them top safety picks plus. If you've got a family or you just want to be sure that you're in one of the safest cars on the road, Genesis needs to be on your list. There are myriad reasons why Genesis should be on your list. An amazing line of vehicles, an incredible staff, America's best warranty, the convenience and the attention to detail that goes into everything over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. But safety is absolutely on that list. So if you're looking for a sedan, if you're looking for an SUV, and you want to be sure that you're in one of the safest cars on the road, Genesis offers that. Get on by Airline at PQ and test drive one today. Get on by and see the inventory at GenesisofBatonRouge.com, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Week 2 in the NFL kicking off tonight with a pair of playoff teams from last season, the Packers and the Commanders in Green Bay, both looking to get to 2-0 behind some promising young quarterbacks. Packers minus 3.5 at home on ESPN Bet tonight. Jordan Love minus 140 to go over 225 passing yards. Daniels plus 175 to score at least one touchdown. Meanwhile, Niners are preparing to be without quarterback Brock Purdy in Week 2, dealing with toe and left shoulder injuries that he suffered in Sunday's win against the Seahawks. With San Fran bracing for Purdy to miss a few weeks, ESPN Radio's Evan Cohen thinks they should trade for Kirk Cousins.
You find out that, Purdy could be out 4 or 5 weeks, maybe. Are you on the phone with Atlanta for Kirk Cousins, who you know works in your offense, who you've had in your offense before in Washington? Are you saying, screw it, Mac was the backup because we needed a backup, not we needed a starter? Would you make the call to Atlanta if you were San Francisco right now?
Cohen on unsportsmanlike. Mac Jones would start if Purdy can't go. As of right now, was 26 of 35 for 277 yards with 2 touchdowns against the Seahawks.
I'll tell you the one matchup this weekend that will have huge implications for the rest of the season. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from downtown Baton Rouge, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, working towards the weekend. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, will be along in 15 minutes. We will talk to Chris about LSU and the Florida Gators coming up Saturday night in Death Valley. Of course, tonight, the coach's show, Brian Kelly's show from TJ Ribs at 7 o'clock. You want to stop on by and see Chris and the coach, you can do that. You can listen to it on your LSU Sports Radio Network affiliate, Eagle 98.1 right here in Baton Rouge, and we'll talk to Chris about all of it coming up in 15 minutes. I'll also talk some Saints at the bottom of the hour. Saints, generally speaking, going to be on the bottom end of the quarterback ranks, but 49ers might be this week too, so we'll talk about that here in 30 minutes. It's going to be a monster weekend on campus for LSU with recruiting, not to mention the ball game they're going to play. Sam Spiegleman with the Rivals Network, good enough to give us a little bit of time here to start the hour. It's on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sam, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. I got a 3-week-old, so I'm running on fumes. It feels like every day is National Signing Day, but I can't complain one bit.
Many congrats. I know the feeling. I got a 6-month-old. It'll be 6 months really shortly, and you'll be sleeping through the night and won't have to worry about much of anything. But for right now, I understand you're in the throes of it. We appreciate a little bit of time. I want to start with quarterback, and then we'll get to some of the other huge names because this has been such an entertaining an interesting quarterback cycle for LSU with the 3 guys with natural connections to the program. What can you tell us about all 3 of those? Of course, Elijah Haven, Colton Nussmeier, and Peyton Houston.
Well, they'll all be on campus this weekend,
yep.
And I've said it before. I would expect 1, potentially 2 of these guys to be playing for the Tigers when it's all said and done. Peyton Houston is going to make his college decision on Monday. Of the in-state guys, LSU, Coach Sloan, Coach Kelly really love what Pop Houston accomplished last year at Evangel. He was in that first wave of offers for the 2027 class. And, myself and my colleague Steve Wilfong had predictions in for USC after working out for Lincoln Riley this summer. But as his decision date was set, we've heard a lot of the SEC teams have come to the forefront. Oklahoma is currently the favorite. That's coming off a huge visit to Norman, but LSU is not going to go down swinging. They're going to get the last visit, and they're hoping, and there's a lot of optimism in Baton Rouge, that they can potentially overtake the Sooners. Sticking in state, everyone knows Elijah Haven. He's from right there in Baton Rouge, #1 quarterback in the country. Again, one of Joe Sloan's early offers. I don't think that there's a relationship stronger for Elijah Haven than his with Joe Sloan. I think he's also resonated with the entire Haven family. And, of course, Dunham has a pretty solid reputation of producing future Tigers. Yeah. So I think that's a name that LSU fans need to keep monitoring. He'll make visits to Florida, to Alabama, to Georgia this year. I expect Elijah to be playing somewhere in the SEC when it's all said and done. And then Colton Nussmeier, a kid who needs no introduction. Much like his brother, has been very close to this program throughout most of his life. Of course, because of Garrett, he's been around during Garrett's recruiting process, now his own recruiting process. He told me a couple weeks ago, as you might expect, his best relationship is with a name that we're hearing a lot, Joe Sloan, who obviously meshed with Garrett when he arrived in Baton Rouge. I think he's clicked with the whole family. Colton is looking to have a commitment at some point during his junior season. I would be surprised if he's not playing in Baton Rouge by the end of the year.
Interesting to hear that you think it could be too. Elijah Haven, there's a lot of smoke with Florida a few weeks ago. Does what happened last weekend in the Swamp have any impact there as that pressure starts to mount on Billy Napier?
I spoke with the Havens this week, Elijah with his father, Kwame, Billy Napier and the staff, and it's not just Billy, who they've known since his days at UL, but Jabbar Jaloub, the associate head coach from New Orleans, Rob Sale, Ryan O'Hara, Russ Calloway. There's a lot of people in the building that have been recruiting Elijah for a long amount of time, and they've done a really good job. Not to mention Elijah being the number one quarterback in the country has really been able to connect with DJ Lagway, the Gators starting quarterback. They've already gone through a lot of similar processes, so it's easy for them to relate. And Florida has hosted Elijah and his family the last 2 summers. I think that they've really shown that he's the top guy on their board. Of course, if he is not there at the end of the season, I think that would, of course, throw a wrench in the plans. I think Florida has positioned themselves well. But Elijah and his family are not rushing to make a decision. They're not going. They know that there might be coaching shakeup. They're looking for a program that stands on principles and values, and if they view Florida in that light, which it seems like they do, I think that they'll have a shot with Billy Napier and potentially with his replacement if it gets to that point.
Sam Spiegleman with the Rivals Network here, giving us a little recruiting update. Monster weekend on campus for LSU. KJ Edwards, a Texas A&M commitment, number 3 running back in the class per Rivals. Somebody that it appears LSU is making a push for. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, this is Frank Wilson's guy. Everyone thought Frank was a crazy man when he went into Texas a couple of years ago and landed Caden Durham, who's from Dallas powerhouse Duncanville, and whose mom was a decorated track athlete at Oklahoma. But Frank Wilson got his guy, and he's hoping to dip back into Texas, to East Texas, for KJ Edwards. LSU was a little bit late to the party here. Even for an East Texas kid, they were going a little bit slower. They offered this spring and were able to get an official visit in June. And a weekend later, he visited College Station and committed to the Aggies. Texas was in the mix here. A&M still feels really confident they'll keep Edwards on board. But LSU just will not go away. This visit has been in the works for a month or 2 at this point. Frank has kept his foot on the gas. We already know that East Texas, Carthage, is very close to Louisiana, so they have that factor going in their favor. If they're able to kind of show KJ another good experience in Tiger Stadium, this could get interesting. He has not shut down his recruitment. He is keeping his eyes on some of these contenders, and LSU is leading that charge.
So a couple more in-state 5-stars for 2027 that LSU will apparently host this weekend. Ahmad Hudson and Easton Royal, who are becoming pretty famous recruits. What can you tell us about those 2 guys?
Yeah, Ahmad is of course the number 1 tight end in the country. Around the state of Louisiana, he's very well known. He's had an LSU offer since his freshman year at Ruston. I think it was after his first game, if I'm correct. He's obviously a gifted football player. He's a gifted basketball player. His dad played for the Tigers. He was on campus last weekend, and I think it's safe to say that LSU is in a strong position to keep him at home. They have done a fantastic job recruiting the Ruston Bearcats over the last couple of years, and I don't know if you know this, but their defensive line coach was coaching at Ruston not too long ago. And he's got a couple of teammates that he just saw. Ahmad Bro, Aiden Anding. So Ahmad and Aiden's little brother, Jaden, will be back on campus. I have LSU picks in for both of those blue chip recruits. And then Easton Royal, the 5-star wide receiver from Brother Martin, really has had probably the best offseason of any Louisiana prospect in that class this summer, just showing off his world-class track speed. He is the best player every time for the field for Brother Martin. and he's putting up massive video game-like numbers to start his junior year. I think LSU is also off to a really fast start with Easton. You have schools like Florida and Texas and Florida State and Georgia. Everyone wants a piece of the Easton Royal Party. LSU, their tradition of receivers, having Frank Wilson and Cortez Hankton recruiting New Orleans, recruiting him at the wide receiver position, bode very well. And I think since June, since July, the pendulum has kind of been swinging in favor of LSU, though they're keeping their options open. I don't expect him to have a decision anytime too soon.
And then last name I want to bring up here, number 1 defensive lineman, number 6 player overall in the 2027 class, Jalen Brewster, going to be in Baton Rouge. He's a Texas kid. What can you tell us about LSU's start there?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Jalen Brewster, his dad played in the NFL, and you know what? The genes translate really well. Jalen Brewster, haven't seen him a couple of times, not only on Friday nights, but in the camp setting. This kid moves at a different clip. LSU fans are in great spots with Lamar Brown and Big Rich Anderson, and Jalen Brewster is in that same tier for next year's recruiting class. This will be his first visit in a couple of months. He's largely visited Oregon, a lot of the Texas-based schools like Texas, SMU, A&M, and Oklahoma. And Oregon has been the early favorite with Jalen Brewster. We talked about his dad being in the NFL. Obviously, Dan Lanning has littered his Oregon staff with former NFL coaches and assistants, which has resonated well with Jalen. But the local schools, the Texas schools, LSU, Oklahoma, I think that those are going to be schools that stay in this race until the end. This weekend, again, much like with KJ Edwards, for a kid from Texas to come into town and see what Tiger Stadium is like for the Florida game at night, those are the kind of visits that really resonate, especially when all those dominoes fall the right way, and Brewster is definitely someone we're watching this weekend.
Last question here. That was the last name I was going to ask you, but this is always a tough one. But do you feel like there's a reasonable chance LSU gets a commitment in either the senior or junior class in the next 5-6 days?
Yeah, 100%. It's always possible. I can say this. I put predictions in for Ahmad Hudson, for Karan Eugene this week, and for Javon Vital out of Lake Hamilton in the Lake Charles area. LSU is just starting to get their 2027 class rolling. Like I mentioned earlier, Colton Usmeyer could have a decision made this weekend. It could be in next month. It could be in 2 months. But I would say in the nearish future, in the next couple of weeks as this class gets boiling, Karan Eugene, Javon Vital, and Colton Usmeyer are 3 names that LSU, I think, is the clear-cut favorite for. And now it's just a matter of, like I said, finding that right spice, that right mixture to get them to commit when they're ready. And junior seasons have started. You might see a couple of future Tigers lock in their spots to kick off this class.
He's on Twitter at Sam Spiegs, national recruiting analyst for Rivals. Good enough to give us a little bit of time. Try to get some sleep. We'll catch up soon.
Appreciate you, hon. Have a good one.
You too. That's Sam Spiegelman with Rivals. This is a huge weekend. A lot of it is in the class that is now just starting their junior season of football, but recruiting never stops, and LSU appears to be in a really good spot for a lot of high-profile names. And if you caught on to that, there's just a lot of – surprise, there's a lot of monster names from the state of Louisiana in the next couple of cycles. That's generally the case, and LSU's done a really good job with this Louisiana-based staff in pulling those guys in. Appreciate Sam for giving us a little bit of time here on this Thursday. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Step aside, come back with Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club. SwingEasyGCBR.com. They are on Siega near Perkins. What is Swing Easy Golf Club? Well, it's 3 incredible setups with golf simulators that can be used for practice, can be used to socialize, entertain clients, entertain friends, hang out and watch some ball and hit some golf balls. It's a great spot to do all of that. Go by and see him. Siega at Perkins. If you're a golfer, no matter your skill level, if you're a scratch player who wants to see what your carry distance is and your spin rate is and want to look at the swing impact, you can do that. If you're just a recreational golfer who doesn't even have a handicap, but you'd like to see what Pebble Beach looks like on the simulator and drink a couple of cold beers with your buddies with a football game on, you can do that too. Just depends on what you're looking for. All of it can be available to you at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Memberships are available. Open weekdays, certainly open weekends. You want to go on by on Sunday, drink a couple beers with the games on TV, and hit some balls with your friends into the simulator. you can do that. Go by and see it. That's the best way I can ask you to go participate with Swing Easy. Just go see it. It's Swing Easy Golf Club on Perkins at Siegen. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
You're thinking to yourself, man, it's been a long week. I'd really like to eat a brisket quesadilla and drink a cold beer and listen to some LSU football talk. I've got great news for you. Brian Kelly Show tonight, TJ Ribs on Acadian. Stop by. It'll crank up at 7 o'clock. If you can't get by there for said brisket quesadilla and cold beer and LSU football talk, you can listen on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, every single week. Chris Blair will be there hosting things to give us some time on Thursdays. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. 2-0. It's great to say that, huh?
It's been a minute. It's been 5 years. Yeah, it's good to say. What did you make? Let's start on the positive. What did you make of LSU's defense against Louisiana Tech?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway for me until, late in the game, really just kind of dominated. I mean, I was interested to see what Louisiana Tech wanted to do. I mean, you get in these type games and sometimes you see a team that maybe tries to be something they're not and try to take the air out of the ball, let that clock move. I thought Louisiana Tech, to their credit, was kind of like, hey, let's go out there and play. And they were pretty aggressive, I think, on both sides of the ball. And I thought LSU's defense really, outside of the one bust late in the game with multiple substitutions in, proved to us that what we saw in week one was not an anomaly. Now, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we all can at least with a small sample size, 2 weeks in, and I don't know how valuable that is when you look at the entire season. But I think we all can feel good that this defense is going to be able to play and play well just because of the way it looks. I mean, guys, where they're supposed to be, coverage is where it's supposed to be, and the pressure continues from Coach Baker. So that was my biggest takeaway. I know we could talk about the offense and missed opportunities and 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But, there's a lot of people subscribe to this saying, Hunt, which is defense wins championship. So I think that defensively, and again, we'll find out with a big test this Saturday, but I think defensively, what we're seeing is what LSU is.
I got a chuckle at player interviews on Tuesday. I asked Whit Weeks, like, why are you all stopping the run a little bit better this year than you did last year? And he kind of paused and he went, well, we kind of trust what we're doing and what Coach Baker's doing. We're on the same page. Oh, and Harold's back too. That helps a lot, and everybody kind of chuckled. What have you seen from Harold Perkins in his 2 games back from injury?
Yeah, I mean, I just think he does 2 things. I think, one, he makes plays. And even when a team with equal talent, game plans to try to minimize what he does, it still takes effort. So, I mean, it's kind of, as long as he's on the field, I just think he makes it difficult for the opposing team, whether he's making individual plays or just the fact that he's there and they've got to account for it and try to stay away from him. I just think it's been tremendous. I mean, I know Coach Kelly told us in the preseason that, hey, he's gotten a tick faster. He's gotten bigger and stronger. And it just really doesn't look like, I mean, when you consider the injuries coming off of and the short amount of time that it has taken him to get back and get to what he is doing on the field, it's quite remarkable.
Let's go to the offense. The thing that surprises me is the lack of the deep ball. And I guess the answer would be, well, Barrion Brown caught one and they took it away from him at Clemson, and then he was wide open on the first drive and Nuss just missed the throw. So it could have been there in both games, but they hadn't quite hit the deep ball yet. That surprised you?
Yeah, it does surprise me. I went back on Sunday and watched the game, and I think when I left the stadium on Saturday, had you asked me my take would have been, for some reason against Clemson, I understood it. We wanted to get the ball out quickly, get guys in space, and just kind of have Clemson running on skates defensively, which I think they did a tremendous job in. I thought you would be able to kind of work on that deep game a little bit against Louisiana Tech. Now, to my surprise, Louisiana Tech, I mean, they were like, you know what, we're just going to gamble. We're going to bring pressure, and we're going to try to man up with these receivers. And, I think my biggest takeaway was, again, it didn't seem like there was a ton of time. The pocket was moved, and credit Garrett, he can certainly do that. As you pointed out, there were a couple of throws I know he wants back. But when I watched the film, I also realized there were a couple of decent balls down the field that, I mean, again, Louisiana Tech was beat, and they just said, you know what, we're going to tackle you or pull your jersey, and we're not going to let you make the play. So I think when you take it in totality, yeah, would you like it to look a little bit better? But it was kind of taken away from them on a couple of occasions. But I still go back to the ability to really have a deep drop and go through the progressions. Again, didn't expect to see it against Clemson, and we didn't except for a handful of times, and that one you spoke of. But I didn't see it a lot against, let's face it, an undermanned Louisiana Tech team. And that's my concern going into the Florida game. Forget everything that's going on at Florida. The fact is they have great athletes. And if they put it together defensively, I think they can cause trouble, especially if you're not able to kind of hold the block and give your quarterback some time to let those routes develop if you want to have a vertical passing game.
One of the things we have seen from LSU's offense in the first 2 games is Xavion Thomas. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, I mean, he's just kind of Mr. Everything, Mr. All-Purpose. His all-purpose yards, if this continues, is going to be off the charts this year, the way they're utilizing him. And, I saw him talk to the media this week, and that's kind of what he said. Hey, this is fun, man. I'm getting the football in all kinds of situations. So, and good for him. But no, I think he's a game changer, and Jacob said it throughout the broadcast, both against Clemson and Louisiana Tech, like just the fact that he's out there now and, again, not just gimmicky run plays. I mean, he's running like a physical runner when he comes in that orbit motion and takes the direct handoff, or whether it's the jet sweep or the tap pass. I mean, he doesn't mind getting dirty and putting his head in there and trying to bust through some defenders. So I just think he's having a blast. And again, I just think it's another piece of weaponry that every team that plays LSU has to account for.
I don't know if you've checked in on the folks over in Gainesville for your podcast this week or not, but have you done a vibe check and see kind of what's going on over there?
Yeah, I did earlier in the week. Had a chance to visit with my buddy Sean Kelly, voice of the Gators, of course, known here in Louisiana with his time at Tulane and with the Pelicans. And, he kind of said, yeah, what you're hearing in Baton Rouge is kind of the mood here in Gainesville. It's like right back to where they were mid-season a year ago. And even though they got the LSU win and strung a couple of games together and all seemed to be right, coming into the year, the Florida fan base was like, okay, we're looking at this roster, and this is the best talent that Coach Napier's had since he's been here. And then again, you have really, and this goes to my argument against the week 0 game or the lesser opponent. And I understand Florida had a kind of a scheduling issue and at last minute basically had to schedule Long Island. But that game did absolutely nothing for Florida, nothing. And I know that because in week 2 against a really good team in South Florida, they didn't look like they'd handled all, being on the field at the right time, avoiding, stupid boneheaded penalties. They didn't look in sync offensively or defensively. They got pushed around a little bit. So when I hear the argument is you need a warm-up game, okay, maybe, but that doesn't guarantee you're going to work everything out because obviously Florida has not. My thing for this game this weekend, and we've seen it a number of times, you got a team, you got a coach trying to fight for his job. Everybody rallies around him. And then you have a tough loss like that in the final seconds to South Florida. Does this team regroup and stiffen their necks and come over to Baton Rouge with a chance to change the narrative in a 3.5-hour period? Maybe. But I've also seen teams that when this situation happens, especially early in the year, they completely fall apart. We'll find out, I think, about this Florida team. And I know it's still just week 3, but I think we'll find out a lot about the Florida program when this game is said and done on Saturday.
Does that kind of feel like the first 15 minutes of this game are really important for the psyche of maybe both teams?
Yeah, and I think that's, if there's a silver lining to playing kind of sloppy last week, and I'm interested to see what Coach Kelly thinks about my theory tonight. We'll find out. Is that, Florida's coming off a loss. They were embarrassed. They had the spitting incident. It's just not good over there. So are they mean? Are they hungry? Are they looking to win? Are they looking to come and shut everybody up with a big win and sold out Death Valley? Okay, maybe. But I think LSU is not very pleased with their effort, albeit in a win last week. So it's almost as if both teams have something to prove. And that, to me, is why I think this one could be an electric matchup Saturday night.
I know nobody in Birmingham's going to ask you, but do you feel like LSU and Florida should be a permanent of 3 opponents? Would that make sense to you?
Other than having to go to Gainesville every other year in that scenario, yeah. I mean, I like what this rivalry has become over the last 10, 15 years. And, it's interesting because I've asked a ton of people, what do you think? If you get 3 permanents, do you think they're going to go, traditional Ole Miss LSU because of all the history that goes back decades and decades? Do they take a rivalry that's heated up over the last 10 to 15 years like a Florida and to some degree Texas A&M? And I say that only because of the geographic location and the recruiting battles and all of that. And is there a TV executive in the country that's going to say, yeah, we'll do without that Alabama LSU game? Yeah, that primetime football, not so great. So I don't know which way they're going to go. I've heard every theory in the world, which is they're going to get some input from every school. They're going to honor those longtime rivalry games. And I've also heard they're going to pick 2 permanent partners and let the computer pick the third. So that's a long-winded answer to I don't think you could go wrong with continuing this rivalry, this series, I should say. But, who knows? I'm sure it's way above your and I pay grade. I know that. Somebody else responsible over in Birmingham will decide. But, I think it's good for the sport. I think there'll be a lot of eyeballs watching because, as you pointed out on your show this week, when these 2 teams get together of late, grab the popcorn and the Cokes because something's going to happen.
No doubt about it. Matt Flynn was asked who LSU's 3 opponents should be. He said he wanted to play Florida 3 times. So you get that from that generation of LSU fan.
Well, Jacob said the same. He said the same thing Saturday. He was like, "Dude, I want to keep Florida on there." So I kind of understand that.
That's their playing days coming on out. We appreciate it. Enjoy TJ Ribs tonight, and we will see you on Saturday.
See you on Saturday, boss.
That is the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, Brian Kelly Show tonight, 7 o'clock in Baton Rouge over on Eagle 98.1. Step aside when we come back. Things kind of evened out from a quarterback perspective with Saints and 49ers. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Farms beef, Sagrera Farms Premium Angus beef. You know that beef is, the demand is the highest it's been really in about 50 years. And with that comes volatility in stocking the shelves, pricing, all that kind of stuff. And if you've noticed that and you're uncomfortable with it, do it a different way. Do buying beef a different way. Go to Sagrera Farms, get some prime Angus beef, some of the best beef in the country, and just have it at home. Have it in the freezer. The Palmers have it right now. I wanted to make burgers last Sunday. We did it. Just thawed some out. Incredible stuff. My wife is just obsessed with those burgers that Sean dropped off, that I grilled, but that Sean dropped off with that Sagrera Farms prime Angus beef. That means you fix in the price, you fix in the quality, and it's there for your convenience as well, right there in the freezer. Call Sean Sagrera and get some of that Sagrera Farms premium Angus beef. It's a hidden gem. It's not going to be hidden for very much longer because we keep talking about it, but it's right here north of Baton Rouge. You can go up to the farm. You can see the product. You can make that purchase, bring that whole cow, bring that side, bring that quarter back to your freezer, and be stocked up for the football season. So when you're ready to put steaks on the grill for Sunday night, Saturday night, with watching the Tigers, you're ready to put burgers on the grill, you've got it from Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Sean Sell, 225-719-1723. 225-719-1723. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. Sagrera Farms.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Appreciate Chris Blair for giving us a little bit of time. Shout out to Sam Spiegleman as well, talking recruiting. You missed any of that, you can catch it on YouTube at Hunt on LSU, certainly on demand, Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your sound. Appreciate you all for following along with us. Time to transition back to the black and gold. Got some significant injury news over the last 48 hours with Saints and 49ers coming up from the Dome on Sunday. We felt like George Kittle was very, very likely not going to play. Well, he goes on IR yesterday, so clearly George Kittle not going to play for another month. And we didn't think that Brock Purdy was going to play. Now he has been ruled out for this game. He's got turf toe. He's going to miss a month. So that's huge. I don't know another way to say it, but to suggest that it is huge. This is a San Francisco team that, yes, 2 years ago, you looked at them surrounding Brock Purdy with that unbelievable nucleus of players. It included, an all-pro at left tackle, that included having Deebo Samuel, who's no longer there, having a, healthy Christian McCaffrey, who is generally speaking gimpy all the time, having George Kittle around. Like, this was one of the best nucleuses in the NFL 3, 4, 5 years ago, under Kyle Shanahan early in his tenure. And now you look at the offense that San Francisco is bringing into this game, and you take Brock Purdy out of the equation and you insert Mac Jones. Well, let's stop there for this part. Like, Mac Jones is not very good. When you are that high a draft pick and you are on your third team this early in your NFL career, he's been in the league for 4 years. Like, that is very, very rare. Like, sure, you could look around and point to a couple of examples, like Josh Rosen comes to mind. But, like, when you're that early a pick and you're on your third team, that is a massive red flag. And I looked at Mac Jones statistically. In the last 35 games that he's played in, he's thrown 32 touchdowns and 31 interceptions. He's not dynamic with his legs. He doesn't make great decisions with the ball. He's not overly productive. He is a backup quarterback very much in this league. There are very, very few Sundays that the Saints are going to take the field where I feel like they're even or better at quarterback. And you could suggest they're not even or better at quarterback this week, but it's really close to even if it's not. Spencer Rattler hasn't proven a lot at this level. But he wasn't terrible last week. I thought he was okay. And Mac Williams is, if you say he's okay, that's being polite. He has not been good. And so the Saints are about level at quarterback entering this game. And then you take away the best weapon for Mac Jones in George Kittle, who is just a great player. As I mentioned yesterday, a top 5 tight end in the league. That's huge. And now you look at Juwan Jennings, who's got a big old Q next to his name. I think he'll probably play, but we'll see. I mean, it's like beyond Christian McCaffrey, who's obviously a great player when he's healthy, Ricky Pearsall, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, like it's not great around Mac Jones. This is a super opportunity for the Saints. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned, or at least in depth, in this Mac Jones, Juwan Jennings, Christian McCaffrey, no Deebo who's on another team, no Kittle who's on IR. Like, one thing I haven't mentioned in this group is that Kyle Shanahan is brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. I've told this story before. I go to a couple Saints games most years. Haven't been in a couple years, but I get to watch those games a little differently than I watch an LSU game. One, I'm not on the clock. And two, I don't have the emotional investment in that game that I do for LSU. And it allows me to kind of take a deep breath and just really watch. And I watched Kyle Shanahan in December of 2019 just dial it up that day. I mean, just dial it up. It looked like a college-style offense with the misdirection and trick plays. You usually can't get away with that in the NFL. The defenses are too fundamentally sound, too fast, too instinctive, too good to kind of, and I use this term loosely, but toy with the opposition. And he did that day. Now, that was 6 years ago. But that guy is an X factor, for sure. But if I just bring it to the guys on the field, the Jimmies and Joes on the field, the Saints match up with this version of San Francisco's offense. They absolutely do. I don't think the Saints have a great defense. I thought they played okay last week against Arizona. Against this version of San Francisco, I like the Saints defense. It would surprise me if San Francisco scored 30 points in this game. It would surprise me if San Francisco scored 27 points in this game. Something happens wild in the NFL every week, but it would surprise me. And that automatically, you drive the score down to 24, 21, 20, 17 points, you're in the game, as long as you just don't just get put in a box on offense. And that's possible. Like, San Francisco didn't have a great pass rush day last week, but you look at where the Saints are in terms of their offensive tackles, Bosa could be an issue. And he can take over. But this is not the San Francisco roster of 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's not. So the Saints are rarely going to be favored this year, and they're certainly not on Sunday. But that line has come down. And when you look at these injuries and the impact they're going to have, I just can't simply look at this game the way I did 2 months ago when it said San Francisco at New Orleans. That, to me, looked really intimidating. This version of San Francisco is not that intimidating. And it's a big spot for the Saints. Make no mistake. We talked to Luke Johnson about this in the first hour. I don't feel like the vibes are going to be super awesome if you go 0-4. And I'll be candid, I won't have barring injuries next week, I'm not going to feel great about the Saints going to Seattle or going to Buffalo. Those sound like losses to me. Got to play the game, National Football League, any given Sunday, all that. Got it. But they sound like losses to me. I would suggest that 1-3 is significantly better than 0-4 after a month. This is a spot you can get that done because of the injuries that have been sustained and what it means to San Francisco. You got Mac Jones coming to town, not the big bad 49ers. The Saints ought to be able to put up a fight, get in the game in the fourth quarter, and make a play to try to win the game. I'll make my pick on it tomorrow, but I give the Saints a real chance to get it done in the Dome on Sunday against this version of Kyle Shanahan's 49ers. You're looking for coverage of the black and gold. Ross Jackson's got you covered on LouisianaSports.net. We've got you covered right here at Hunt on Saints. You can find that on YouTube, wherever you find your podcasts as well. Hunt on Saints. Give you our pick for the Saints and 49ers coming up on tomorrow's show. All right, one more order of business. Let's take it or leave it. We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. How about a rental? If you think to yourself, I hear Hunt talk about Genesis every day. I've never driven a Genesis, but a couple of weeks, we're heading to Oxford, and we'd like to maybe not put the miles on our car, drive a luxury vehicle up there. Genesis is happy to rent you a vehicle. Want an SUV? GV80 is an awesome, awesome, awesome SUV. Just go and buy and see them airline at PQ. Say, hey, I'm interested in a rental, and they're happy to get you behind the wheel. And you might just decide after that drive, I think this is the direction I want to go with that next vehicle. It's a phenomenal brand, phenomenal staff, and they'll make that rental very, very easy on you. So if you've got a road trip coming up, I know summer is in the rearview mirror, but there are always fall road trips that come up. You don't want to put those miles on your vehicle, but you'd like to drive something new, something fresh, something that is different. Genesis can be the option for you. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find that entire inventory online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
One 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st of September. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Reminder for y'all, beef is scored on the intramuscular fat score, and if you're looking for select beef, which is about 30% out there, that's under 4%. That's the lowest grade that's out there. Choice, that's 60% of the beef that you find out there. It's between 4 and 8% on the IMF scale. The prime, the best of the best, is 9% and above, 10% in American. Sagrera Farms on the farm right now. Remember, 9 is prime. They have 13s, 14s, 17s, 19s. This is as good a beef as there is in the country, and it's right outside Baton Rouge. If you're interested in getting some of that beef for your freezer, for your home, so you can have delicious, juicy, flavorful burgers, big, fat ribeyes and fillets, Sean Segura and Severa Farms, happy to help you out with that. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. Reminder, Football Friday schedule tomorrow for 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. Boys will be over at Rouse's for OTB 7 to 10. They'll hand it off to live at lunch 10 to 1 from Rufino's, an extra hour there. They'll be over at Rufino's. I'll be here from 1 to 3. Matt will be here from 3 to 6. And then we'll hand it off to Cade Wassan, Louisiana Prep preview. Catholic High football starts up around 6:45 with the pregame, kickoff at 7, so they'll be on the air till about 9 o'clock. So live and local tomorrow, 7 a.m. till about 9 p.m., Football Friday, wall to wall. Very much looking forward to that as LSU kicks off SEC play with the Florida Gators. One more order of business for Thursday. Let's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. If you're tailgating this weekend, no Thursday and Friday, big days to go shopping, get everything stocked up so it's all ready for Saturday. If that's the case for you, get a case of Flight by Yingling for the tailgate. Perfect for those warm Saturdays. Perfect to drink more than one. It's got 95 calories, just 2.6 carbs. Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. Get some for your tailgate this weekend.
All righty, first one here. Thursday night football. The Washington Commanders and the Green Bay Packers. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. That's good. I like Jaden. He was a good player for my alma mater. Appreciated watching him play for my alma mater. And I like watching him play for the Commanders. They are 1-0. That is good. This is a big spot for him. Two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFC. Could be, theoretically, a NFC Championship preview. It's a long way from that, but it could be. And I'm for that. Go Commanders.
All right, next one here. Cleveland Browns safety Grant Delpit, another former Tiger. He had a press conference today, and when asked about trying to tackle Derrick Henry, he said, quote, "It's not that hard." Saying it's not that hard to tackle Derrick Henry. Take it or leave it.
I mean, me personally, I'm going to leave it. I guess it's all relative. I guess if you're Grant Delpit and you're a Thorpe Award-winning defensive back who gets paid millions of dollars to tackle Derrick Henry, maybe it's not that hard. I don't have a lot of perspective on that.
Even if you are Grant Delpit and you don't think it's that hard, I still probably wouldn't say that. Just in case maybe
I saw a good Derrick Henry stat on the internet. Did you see the stat about Derrick Henry that was floating around this week? So he's been in the NFL for like a long time, right?
Yes.
He's been running for a bajillion yards a long time. He still has not reached his high school rushing total in the NFL.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense. I always consider, like when I played high school sports, I was like Joe average high school player in baseball and basketball. I never played against anybody that was really good. There was one guy in our district in baseball that played like 3 major league games as an outfielder. I didn't really play against anybody in basketball that was like a star. One guy went to Indiana and rode the bench. So I never played against any of these guys. I don't know how anyone ever stops these guys in high school. Like, how does anyone stop Greg Oden in high school? Like, how does he not score 120 points per game? That makes no sense. If he would have played against our high school, which we won a playoff game my junior year, he would have scored 150 points. We'd have never stopped him. Derrick Henry at what, 6'3", 225, 230, running like a freight train in high school? What kid who's roaming the halls that is going to IPS science class is stopping that guy? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I remember I actually did see somebody posting his stats from all of his games, and he had games where he had less than 20 carries, but he's still like over 300 yards, like 4 touchdowns.
To put in perspective, Joe McKnight played in a playoff game against my alma mater in high school. And my buddies were on the team. I couldn't go. It was the Katrina year, and I had just sprained my ankle in the basketball jamboree, so I didn't go down to New Orleans to watch. He had 3 carries, 3 touchdowns, and then they played the 8th graders the rest of the game. But that makes sense to me. A guy that was a kick return in the NFL playing against my friends, that's a touchdown every time. Just no question, that's a touchdown. And it should be like that for all those guys, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I was.
Did you play against anybody in like basketball that was like that played at LSU or something?
I played with guys that played LSU, but I remember at U High for football when. I mean, Nick Brossette was a good running back for LSU. He wasn't a 5-star.
I saw
or anything,
him a lot in high school.
Yeah, but even in high school, as a senior, we would play against some teams that that weren't so good, and he would get 3 or 4 touchdowns and then take him out the game immediately.
Some of those, I mean, like the Derrick Henrys, like the Glenn Davises, of the world in basketball. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Glenn Davis played football, by the way.
I know. He was a running back.
Yeah, he's a running back. Try stopping him.
I would not. I would not try to stop him. I'm not interested in tackling humans. That's why we play baseball and basketball. All right, that's it on this Thursday. Brought to you by Segura Farms. Missed any of the show, catch it on demand. Fired up for tomorrow. It'll be a football Friday. Come hang out with us in about 22 hours. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient. And the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green?